Hello and welcome everyone to episode 8 of the video discussion series where my friend Dev and I go over each chapter of the sequel to Konjiki no Gash, Konjiki no Gash 2. We both have so much to say about this chapter, so I literally have nothing else to say for the intro. Let's just jump right into chapter 8.
Oh yeah, we've got a really fun chapter to talk about here. Like, Volume 2 in general is really good, so yeah, why don't we just get right into things? Like,
please.
Here is your summary for Chapter 8. So, following the reveal of Parco Folgore at the end of Chapter 7, Chapter 8 kicks off with Folgore performing on stage at the venue in Milan. As he performs one of his hits, Iron Folgore, and looks out into the audience, he is surprised as his eyes land on a seemingly familiar face. In one of the seats amongst the crowd, we see a familiar duck-billed baby wearing a onesie and bonnet, happily singing and dancing along to Folgore's song. Folgore freezes on stage in disbelief at what he's seeing, asking himself if it's Canchome, before diving off the stage and into the crowd to reunite with his demon partner, shocking everyone else in the audience. Everyone watches as Folgore crashes into the seats and, now a little bloody, holds up the baby, exclaiming Canchome's name. The baby exclaims that Folgore is really cool, just like his big brother had told him. Folgore questions the big brother part, and the baby introduces himself to Folgore as Consomme, and says that Canchome is his big brother. Folgore repeats this information back in the form of a question, and Consomme confirms before also sharing the fact that he really loves donuts. A little bit later, outside of a donut shop, Folgore sets down on the table a massive plate with a pile of all sorts of donuts and pastries for Consomme to dig into. Consomme asks Folgore if he's sure it's okay for him to have so many, and Folgore says of course, because he is a world-class star after all. Consomme asks him if he's going to sing anymore, and Folgore's manager, who's standing beside them, tells Consomme that there's only one concert scheduled that day, and that they'll be fine. A couple of fans run up to the table, excited to see Folgore, but he tells them he has a wonderful date at the moment, referring to Consomme. The girls fawn over Consomme for a bit as he continues inhaling the pile of donuts. After the fans leave, Folgore asks Consomme where is his big brother. Consomme tells Folgore that Canchome had gone off to eat candy, which catches Folgore off guard. Consomme continues saying that the candy shop didn't have any donuts, so he decided to go look for Folgore instead. Folgore is still surprised that Canchome went straight for the candy instead of coming to see him. The chapter then cuts to a panel of a pair of feet running, wearing shoes with duck faces on the front, and another panel of the back of someone's head, who looks to be Canchome's. So,
we
my
have
gosh.
so much to talk about.
Yeah.
Anyone listening to this might be like, okay, like the chapter just started, why are we already breaking? But like, you don't understand. We have so much to dive into.
Seriously, like, oh my gosh. So, starting off from the beginning, like, I kind of forgot to talk about my thoughts on Sequel Folgore's design in the previous chapter, but since we start off this chapter with a much better look at him on the first page, may as well talk about it now.
Yeah, I feel like you couldn't really tell that well at the end of the previous chapter anyways.
Yeah. Like, I guess this is, like, my personal take, if anyone's listening, you have your own take on this, that's totally okay, but for me, I do want to say I was kinda hoping for a more significant design change, like...
Me too.
To be completely fair, though, like, Folgore's primary outfit has always been extremely iconic, and it perfectly suits him and his whole character, and so I totally get, there's not really a need to overhaul it if it already works, but I guess, for me, since we've already got a sequel that takes place 13 years from the original, I figured that maybe that would be a good opportunity to really spice things up with designs. Like, this is kind of also how I felt about seeing Ted and Cherish at the beginning, too, since they're in the same exact outfits as they've always have been. But for Folgore, I do at least appreciate the little changes here and there on him. Like, I love his little heart-shaped zipper, and when you see him in color on the Volume 2 front illustration, he's got a white belt and orange yellow shoes, like, and I also like the way his hair was changed too. Like, he really took notes from Clear Note for that one. Like, at least there's some little changes here, so that's nice to see, but that's just my take.
No, I completely agree. Even to an extent, I felt similarly with Kiyomaru and Gash in a way, because as much as I love their outfits and everything, I feel like their hair staying the same. Like I get it for recognizability's sake and character design wise, you want people to be able to recognize like the main characters and things like that. But for me personally, one of the things I love the most about time skips in like anime and manga and things like that is getting to see like a brand new look for characters that we're familiar seeing from like their previous iteration, and getting to see all the different fun ways that the creator can still like make a new design and look for these characters while still having that like essence of like that character still there, if that makes sense.
Yeah, yeah.
And so like I really like, as much as it's exciting to see all of these characters returning and things like that, there is a part of me that wishes that Raikou like allowed them to be a little bit more different from, because like 13 years, if I looked the same 13 years from now, like that would I don't know, I just feel like that's kind of, I don't know. But I mean, again, like I love getting to see them again regardless, but like there is a part of me, I mean, and I just love like putting characters in all sorts of different like outfits and things like that. Like
Same.
I love looking at things from like a fashion and style standpoint. So from that point of view, I love when characters get to play around with their look and getting to like play with like what other types of outfits and hairstyles still suit this character rather than just keeping them in the exact same thing all the time.
Yeah.
So it's like that's where I'm coming from with this as well. So I completely agree with you, which I mean you already know that. But yeah, but it was nice to see though the little differences that Fulgore had compared to, because I feel like it's a little bit more different for him compared to like Kiyomaru and Gash. Because Fulgore's hair is a bit different and things like that. So it was really nice to like, once I picked, because obviously at the end of chapter 7, I was thinking he looked the exact same, because like he's leaping midair, so his hair, I thought his hair was just like up, but like when you see in this chapter, it's like his hair is literally a little bit different. Like that was kind of nice to see, because that was what I felt we were lacking so far up to this point. And yeah, I love the heart zipper and like the heart outlines that are on his chest rather than, or that are on the chest of his shirt, rather than just like the solid hearts and everything. And then once we got to see all of this in color, it was nice to see the color palette changed like a little bit too. But yeah, so I mean, I agree completely with what you were saying, and that's how I felt about like his design and everything. But like I also at the same time, like it looks great, but I feel the same way. It was like it would have been nice to see like a little bit more difference, but whatever, you know.
Well, we take what we can get. But like you said, at the end of chapter 7, like looking at him, like again, he was in midair and stuff, but even so, just looking at him, I was like, oh, he looks the same. Okay.
Yeah. Like,
I mean,
sure,
you know,
between
again, still exciting to like the fact that we even get to see him so soon. Like I wasn't expecting to see any other returning bookkeepers like just yet, but you know, it's still exciting. But you know, I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah,
guess we're gonna do
like,
that.
It's just funny to think about it in terms of like their ages, because like he was 23 in the original series, and so now that he's 36 and looks the exact same as when he was 23.
Yeah,
I just find that a little hard. I mean, I know this is a series with like, you know, magic and shit, but like I just find it a little hard to believe that like in 13 years he wouldn't, especially too, because he's like I'm getting way too into this, but he's like a superstar. Like I feel like they go with trends, they come and go with trends all the time, so it's like, for him to not change his look up one bit, like he must be like really popular or something for him to not have to worry about keeping up with the trends or something. But I'm looking way too into this. I just would have liked to see a little bit more variety.
I know, I totally get it. Also, I keep forgetting the fact that he's nearly 40 now. Like that's
it's crazy, right? Like 13 years is such a big time jump.
Yeah, like again, like it's really it's just so funny. Like again, he was 23, but you know, like he already looks, you know, he could be like a little bit older than that in the original series, but 36 now?
I know.
Oh my goodness.
I know.
He's still serving though.
Absolutely.
We can agree on that. But also, moving on from Fulgore, I want to say, like, as soon as we saw Canchome for a moment,
God.
It was so funny, because as soon as I saw him, my legitimate first thought was like, oh my god, why is Canchome a baby? Like, did Belial turn him into one or something?
No, literally, I literally thought, like, with a split second when we first see him, I was like, oh, like, Canchome's aging like, he aged backwards, essentially. Like, he is older, but like, his body is the body of a baby. I don't know what I was thinking, but, like, at the same time, I feel like that's something Raikou would pull, where it's like, oh, yeah, Canchome's species, like, ages backwards or something. I don't know. But, like, I thought it was Canchome, like, 100%. I was like, oh, he's just a baby now. Okay, sure. And I, like, fully went along with it.
We're just ready to accept that without asking anything,
yeah.
dude. Like, we were just talking about, like, yeah, Fulgore looks the same. That's a shame. And now we're like, okay, Conchome looks way younger now. Cool.
I know. Like, I was just like, oh, he's a baby now. Okay. And I just, like, kept skimming. And then it wasn't until I saw, like, the katakana of, like, a different name. And I was like, oh, this is someone else.
Yeah.
That makes more sense. But, like, initially, it's just so funny to me that for both of us, our split second, like, reaction, like, as soon as we saw him was just like, oh, Canchome's a baby. Okay. Like, it's just so funny to me.
Fulgore accepted that too. Like, he's like, he was like fully, you know, like, thinking that this is Conchome, because, you know, who else would look like this?
Yeah, it's so funny because I'm just, like, picturing, like, is this how Fulgore was viewing Canchome the entire time in the original series? If he thinks this looks exactly like Canchome. He's just, like, in the original series, this whole time, he's just like, oh, yeah, like, this is a baby that's with me, and it's just, like, it's so funny to think about.
But I love Consomme. He's so cute.
Oh
and
my
he's
God,
so
I know.
happy to be at the concert.
He is so precious. I love him so much. And I was, like, literally after this chapter, like, I got so attached to him. He is so cute and precious and just happy. And the way he's like, wow, you're really cool, just like my big brother told me. Like, that is so...
Gosh.
And the fact that Canchome talks about Fulgore to Consomme, that's just so cute. Like, I can't... And then he's just like, I love donuts. It's like, okay, like, you sure do, little guy. Like, it's just so cute.
Oh my God, yeah, I was gonna say, like, the fact that he told Fulgore that Conchome had talked so much about him and that he's just as cool as, you know, as Conchome was describing. That's so cute.
Know. Oh God, it's so
and he
precious.
loves donuts. Like,
I know. And I just love that, like, he immediately just, like, stopped his concert and, like, went to go take Consomme out to go, and with, like, a big ass pile of donuts that looks so
real.
good, by the way.
No, for real. Like, Fulgore, like, stopped everything and he just dove right into the fucking audience.
Oh, I know. Like, everyone's just watching as the star of the show jumps into the, like, audience and crashes and is now bleeding as he's, like, holding up this little itty bitty baby.
Yeah.
And then ends the concert, I guess. Like,
yeah. He just ended the fucking concert.
He's like, okay, everyone, show's over.
Yeah. Like, imagine paying a couple thousand to get some good seats for the Fulgore concert, only to then see him suddenly stop everything to go have a donut lunch with some duck-billed baby from the audience. Like, it should have been me for real, honestly. It should have been me.
It's so funny. And I love that when a few fans find them at the table and everything, he's like, I have a wonderful date right now. And just, like, talking about his little like, eating with Consomme and everything. Like, that's so cute. He's just so good with kids. I have more to say on that, but that's later. But I love already Fulgore's dynamic with Consomme. It's so cute.
Same. Like, I just can't say more than enough. I'm gonna say it, like, throughout this entire video. Like, I love this little duck baby and seeing him so happy to have all these donuts. Like, yes, have as much as your heart desires, little buddy. Like, please enjoy yourself. Like, he's so cute. And, like, I'm literally all three of those girls surrounding him. Like, he really is the true star of the series, if you ask me.
Seriously, like a new character none of us were expecting to ever see or exist or anything like that. And I just love him so much. He's so precious. He's so cute. And he was so unexpected. Like, immediately, like, for a brand new character, and it's like a sibling that we had no idea existed and everything. It, like, reminded me of, like, in volume 2 of the full versions, the Gash Cafe with Tio and Kalulu, where we get to see their families. I'm just like, oh my God, more families? Like, that's crazy.
I was gonna say the exact same thing. Like, I couldn't believe, like, oh my God, we're actually gonna get more new family members or something. Like,
Yeah.
It's so cool. I just love the fact that he even has a baby brother now. It's so
I
cute.
know. Getting to see him as a big brother is so it fits so well because like everything we learn about him in the original series and especially like at the end he really comes into his own, and so for him to be like that, like for him to have developed that far as a character and then for him to now be a big brother is just like it just makes so much sense.
We haven't even seen Conchome like return yet, but I already know he is like the best big brother to him already. Like,
So
it's just
good.
I love this. I love Consomme. He's like the perfect new character to this series. Like,
I know.
it's
It
so
adds
good.
so much to Canchome, and then also just him on his own. Consomme is really, really great.
Yeah,
It's just so good.
exactly. Speaking of him on his own, like when Consomme tells Fulgore that Canchome went to go get candy rather than seeing him, I was immediately like, that is so utter bullshit. Like,
No, I know. I was
something
like, this is
is
sus.
up. That
This
is
is
sus
so
as
sus.
fuck, dude. Like,
Yeah.
you're telling me Conchome wouldn't make like Fulgore his like top priority to see like as soon as he comes back to the human world? Like, no fucking way he would just leave like that, not go see him. Like, something is up.
Yeah, and then we see those two panels of him like huffing and puffing
Yeah!
running somewhere, and already we see glimpses of his new design, which I mean I can't fully comment on yet, but like
Same.
it was already just like I was so excited to see what he looks like now. Like but like the fact that we see him like running somewhere, it's like, oh, he's like actively on the run from Levi and Hanage-bu. Like it's just like what is happening?
No, same. I was like, as soon as we saw those little panels, I'm like, I'm just reminded, like, oh shit, we're gonna see him in this chapter too. We're gonna get a Conchome reveal in this chapter.
I was hoping for that, for sure.
But it's like I completely forgot because I'm like so focused on Consomme. I'm like, oh my god, yeah, we're gonna see Conchome too.
Yeah.
It's just so good. But
I know.
anyways, let's continue on. Let's see what happens from here.
Let's do it.
Elsewhere at an airport coffee shop, Gash and Kiyomaru are seated at a table, each drinking a beverage, and Kiyomaru is on his laptop. Right behind Kiyomaru are Zelly and Omo, seated in a row of chairs, Zelly with a beverage of her own, and Omo climbing the back of one of the seats. Kiyomaru asks Gash how Conchome had turned out over the years, to which Gash asks if he's referring to what Conchome looks like, but Kiyomaru says that isn't quite what he meant. He then comments that it's pretty hard to imagine how Conchome would look all grown up, and Gash exclaims that he'd gotten a whole lot taller. Kiyomaru asks if that means Conchome looks cooler too, and Gash says that he looks interesting. Kiyomaru asks, interesting? And Gash again says, interesting. True. The chapter cuts to Fulgore pointing to a family picture Consomme was showing him, and he's asking if the one he's pointing to is Conchome. A very tall, long-limbed Conchome holds two lollipops, and standing next to him is his older brother, Hansore, holding an ice cream cone. Seated on a bench in front of the brothers are an older man, Conchome's father, sucking on a lollipop, and a woman, his mother, eating a slice of cake, and seated between the two is Consomme, who is eating a donut. Upon seeing what Conchome looks like, Fulgore can't help but burst out laughing, and Consomme cries, yelling at Fulgore to stop laughing at his big brother because Conchome is a great big brother.
Oh.
Fulgore apologizes and tries to stop laughing but isn't able to, and Consomme cries and flails his arms some more. Still looking at the photo, Fulgore says how he messed up, and that he wishes he could have seen Conchome grow up by the two of them having a real reunion, and not having to see it through a photo. He comments that it spoils the surprise of them seeing each other face to face again, but that he still can't wait to see him. Oh man, so before we talk about Conchome, I want to go back and say, like, I love the page just showing Gash and everyone at the airport coffee shop place. Like, I love that it's called Food and Cafe. Like, how it just has one E.
I know.
Mutuals meet me there. I also love that both Gash and Zelly have little drinks, and seeing Omo, like, looking over on the chairs, like, I don't know, like, I like this little page. It's just it's just funny just seeing everyone in, like, a normal place just chilling. Like, I just don't know what it is, but, like, again, just seeing sequel Gash at this normal airport, just sipping on his little drink is just really funny. Like, imagine you go out for some coffee and the Demon King is literally in line with you or something. And I also just love how vague Gash is when talking about Canchome to Kiyomaru. He's literally, like, you just gotta see him for yourself. And I was like, okay, well, I'll be the judge of how interesting he looks. I wonder when we'll get a good look at him. And he's on the next page.
I know. For the airport thing, I love getting to see Zelly and Olmo happy. Like,
same.
They're just, I mean, we don't see Olmo's face, but, like, I don't know. I'm assuming he's climbing a chair, he's happy, he's having a great time. Zelly is smiling. It's just like, thank goodness for these kids to have, like, nice days now, you know? Like,
yeah, like, the days of them going through the shit they went through in Volume 1 is over. They can just relax now.
Yeah, they are. I know bad things are happening still, but, like, they, for the most part, like,
well,
they
bad
are
things
safe.
bad things aren't happening to them, so it's okay.
Well, yeah. But yeah, they're safe now. And yeah, I just think it's funny how, like, yeah, like you said, Gash is just like, yeah, like, Canchome looks like something, like...
he's so vague, like, he's like Kiyomaru is just like, what do you mean by that? And Gash is like, yeah, he looks interesting, yeah, like...
I know, gosh. I'm looking at the photo now, and it's just like I didn't have any expectations in mind for Canchome. Like, I didn't know what to expect, and so I was kind of like
Same.
open to anything. And I mean, anything is what we got, but like it's just like I don't think it looks
that.
I don't think it looks bad by any means, and I think it's definitely in line with his character, but like at the same time, I in a billion years would never have predicted this.
No, same. Like you said, I didn't have any real expectations going in because, you know, like even Kiyomaru brought up, it's hard to imagine Canchome all grown up, you know? But
yeah.
my first reaction to seeing Konjiki in that family photo was exactly like Fulgore. Like, I was cackling because look at him. He's so unbelievably tall and he's built like a string bean, dude. Like,
I know.
This character who we have all remembered as this little itty bitty duck baby is so long.
He looks like an Adventure Time character or something.
I'm crying. He looks like an Adventure Time character.
Also, unrelated to Canchome's design, it was nice to see. I mean, there's a lot more to talk about this in the intermission video for Volume 2, but it was really nice to see his big brother next to him because like we see that character design in. I think it's the end. I think it's the final chapter of the original series.
Yeah.
I don't think it was Gaiden. Yeah, it's like we see him as Canchome and was it Kid or Papi Pudio who were
It was Papi Pudio. Yeah,
okay,
Papi Pudio.
They were on Gorm's shoulders, like as they were like going off to school or whatever. We see his big brother like in the distance, like waving goodbye to them or whatever. So it's like it was really really cool to me to see that like Raikou kept that that continuity of like this character still being like in Canchome's family and everything.
Yeah.
I thought that was really cool, and this is, and we got to see a much better look at him in this photo too. So that's, and then obviously his parents, like they exist now.
Yeah,
like that's just,
they're real now.
He has a whole family. Like this, it's so cool to see.
No, same. Like there's so much to talk about Hansore in general, but we gotta save it for later. We have to save it for later. Like,
yeah.
Like if you're interested in that, please stay tuned for our intermission episode. But I love the family photo. Like, it's so cute. And I love how everyone in it each have their own favorite sweet, like Canchome.
Yeah,
like Canchome with this lollipops, Hansore with this ice cream, Consomme with this donuts, the dad with the lollipop too, and the mom with the strawberry cake. It's so cute.
Yeah, I love that. Like he comes from a family of like sweets lovers. Like that's so fun.
It really is. Like it's just so cute. Like, I want more family photos like this for everyone. Like, again,
God,
it reminds me of just like how cool it was when we saw the family photos for Tio and Kalulu in Gash Cafe too. Like, and to see another one here, I was like, oh my god, this is so good. Like, I just want to see even more of them. I want to know everyone's families.
Seriously, it would be so cool if like each volume had like a different family photo at the beginning or something.
God, yeah.
Like, oh God, imagine. But no, I loved getting to see this.
No, same. And again, I just love how, like, Fulgore laughing and Katsume's like, don't laugh.
Oh my God, his reaction is so, like, he's like climbing on the table, like, don't laugh at my big brother. And he's like flailing his arms, like having a little tantrum about it. It's so cute how much he's like coming to Kanchome's defense. Like, he loves him so much. It's so cute to see.
I love that for them. Like, it's just so good. Like, and I noticed, like, there's like a panel where as Fulgore is looking at the photo, like there's one specific panel where if you zoom in, you could see that there is a version of the family photo that's like
right.
a full shot of everyone, and I so badly wish we could get a better look at that. Like, please.
Oh, Raikou, post that, please. I never even noticed that. I need to see the full version of this.
Same.
Oh,
like,
that's so good. No, in the next panel too, I love how like fondly Fulgore is like looking at because like it's obviously like it's funny to him, but at the same time he still really wishes that he could see Canchome again, and so it's like to just see how he's looking at that photo of just like I guess I messed up, like I wish I'd get to see you in real like in person and everything, and it's just like, oh, it's just so sweet. Their bond is so, I'm gonna say this to like about every pairing we get to see in this series, but just like their bond is so special to me.
No, same. There's so much to talk about for that, but yeah, like, Fulgore saying, man, I wish we could have a proper reunion. I'm like, same, because I don't know what's happening to Kanchome right now, but it's probably not good.
I know.
But why don't we find out what's happening to him, shall we?
Okay, bracing myself.
Alrighty, to continue on with the summary. The chapter cuts to a few panels of various buildings, indicating that what we're about to see is happening elsewhere in Milan. On the bricked path ground in an alleyway, we see a long figure sprawled out on the ground before getting a close-up of this, and see that it's Canchome, injured, bleeding, and clearly exhausted. Around his neck is a string tied to a sealed jar. Before him stand the two characters we saw outside of the concert hall at the end of Chapter 7, whose names we learn in a bit to be Levi and Hanage-bu. Kanchome lifts his head and upon seeing them, yells and musters up the strength to run away down another alley. The girl, Levi, states to herself she can't imagine why Kanchome still thinks he can escape. She calls out Gozer as she uncurls a section of her braided hair, and it begins to grow in size, with claws shooting out as some of the hair wraps around Levi's arm, and half of Levi is now this cat or wolf-like beast with a large clawed arm. She lunges after Canchome, telling him not to make this any harder than it needs to be as she slashes his back with her big clawed hand. He falls to the ground, and just as Levi is about to finish him off, Canchome opens the jar he has with him. We can see a partially obscured glowing object inside the jar, and Canchome casts Poruku, disappearing from the ground before Levi can strike, and she just misses him. Levi is surprised and asks if Canchome is gone, but Hanage-bu tells her he isn't, and that he transformed, noting that Canchome had with him a spell bottle. Levi asks how Canchome could have managed to get his hands on that, and also asks how was he able to use its power. Hanage-bu tells her it probably wasn't the same as what they have, referring to his briefcase, and explains that Canchome's was probably a limited, less refined version, and predicts that its magic will dissolve after just a few uses. Levi says that means this doesn't change the fact that they're closing in on Canchome, and as she's saying this, the half of her body that is now Gozer has moved so that Gozer's full head is positioned above Levi's, and it lets out a loud roar. In doing so, this causes Canchome to flinch, who had disguised himself as a nearby fence post when he had cast Poruku. Hanage-bu clicks open his briefcase, which we can see contain 4 jars just like Waig's had, only this time, the objects inside each jar are different, indicating they have with them a different set of stolen spells. Hanage-bu aims the briefcase towards Canchome and casts Biraitsu. One of the bottles glows, and the familiar laser beam spell shoots out at the fence post, de-transforming Canchome as it hits him. Canchome yells and runs away, and Levi scolds him again for doing so. So, the immediate
Oh,
transition from this fun and lighthearted moment with Fulgore being shown a photo of Conchome and his family to showing Conchome just sprawled out on the street, injured, and then running away
I
from Levi and
know.
Hanagebu was killing me. I was like, oh, right. I almost forgot they were trying to kill him.
I
Great.
know, he's like seeing him so bloody, like it's just so scary.
Yeah. Like I I just feel so bad for him. Like it, sucks to be hunted down, but at the same time, I still really like Levi and Hanage-Boo. Like again, I love their design so much.
Oh, same. And her power of like cutting her hair and it turns into a monster that she can like still be fused with or something. Like
Yeah.
it's so it was just so unique. Like I had no words. I just thought it was so creative and just really really cool to see like the way she looks when she's like half Levi and half Gozer, and the way Gozer can still like move his own body like
Yeah.
in like as her. It's just it's so bizarre and so unexpected but so cool.
Seriously, like I had no idea what Raikou had up his sleeve for these new characters, and it's so hard to tell at first what could she do, because like literally when
Yeah.
chapter 7 just ended on that shot of them, it's hard to really tell like what her abilities could have been, what her powers was. Like I guess you could say the same for Waig, but for her I think it's a little bit more difficult too. But the fact that she just has these like hair powers is seriously so cool and unique. Like I love
Yeah.
it. I love it. Like
It's so
again,
good.
sorry for Conchome, but this shit is cool.
No, I know. Yeah, like when she slashes at his back, like I felt that. It's
I
so
felt
like, oh my god, it's so intense. Like it's so violent and just like oh gosh, they're literally being like hunted down. It's
Yeah.
crazy.
No, seriously. And like something I wanted to point out too is like it's very interesting how Conchme somehow has his own spell bottle, kind of like how we saw
Yeah.
Ziggy with Cherishes. But Hanage-Boo brings up something very interesting where he comments, it wasn't the same as what they have, and how it's this less refined version that has this very
Yeah.
limited amount of uses, unlike theirs. It kind of brings up the question, like, how do they even make these, and what about their briefcase bottles makes them more refined and limitless? Like, why are Conchome's and Ziggy's bottles so limited? Like,
Yeah, I was gonna say because it was kind of like Ziggy's too, where it's like he used Cherish's spell and then like it was empty after that. So it's like yeah, it's really interesting. Like something about I don't know if it's something about the briefcases or it's something about the specific bottles that they use or something that makes theirs more refined or whatever. But it's just it's really interesting how like even though like Poruku is Kanchome's spell because of however he had it in the bottle or something like that, he can't use it like as many times as he wants, even though like he's technically its rightful owner. But like I don't know,
yeah.
it's really really interesting and something I didn't include in the summary because like at the time we couldn't really like tell visually, but like looking back on it, the little object that Kanjame has in the spell bottle to represent like his own spells is like the duck beak,
Oh,
like
yeah.
that his family like seems to represent his family or whatever. Like
Oh,
I thought that
yeah.
was really I don't know. I thought that was just really cool. Like that, I love getting to see the bottles and see what type of symbol or object represents that demon's spells. And so getting to see that Kanchame's is like the little duck beak thing of his family, I guess, is just like I don't know. I thought it was a fun little detail.
No, same. Like, we don't get the best look of it, but we do see a little shots of it here and there. I think
Yeah,
think that's really neat. I do wonder, like, how did he get his hands on it? Much like how Ziggy got
yeah,
Cherish's bottle. Like, where did this come from? And it's just so interesting, again, seeing how it's so limited. And Conchome, he is the rightful owner of the spell, yet it's so limited like this. Like, it's just so interesting.
yeah. And then Boo has freaking Robnos's spell,
Yeah.
like, or that one ancient demon, but I'm assuming Robnos's. And I just like, and I remember when he opened his briefcase, I like immediately zoomed in to look at the other symbols, and
Yeah.
I will say, I mean, I won't say what yet because that'll be later for the summary, but like there is a bottle. I recognized it in this panel because like it's very identifiable, and I lost my shit.
I'm zooming in. I can see it.
Yeah, you can see it right there, and it's only half of it's visible, but I saw that and I was like, oh my god, you're joking.
Oh my god, dude. I didn't even notice, like, it was so visible in that one shot.
I lost my shit, and I promise we'll find out later in this episode what that bottle is, and why. You'll know why I lost my shit.
Oh yeah,
but
like
you can see it in this panel, and oh my god, I was never the same.
Everything was fine until you're like, wait a minute, what is that? What's that bottle?
No, seriously, everything was fine until Hanagebu opened his briefcase.
Oh my god, that's insane. It's visible. I did not know. But now I do. But anyways, let's continue on. What happens from here? Elsewhere, Fulgore has taken Consomme to his home, a large penthouse-style suite, and Consomme asks if this is really where Fulgore lives, which Fulgore says it is. Fulgore then shows Consomme one of the rooms, and among the furniture we see a trampoline and a crate full of toys, and he introduces this as having been Conchomme's old room. Consomme cheers in excitement as he sees there are lots of fun toys to play with. He makes his way over to the dresser and pulls open its bottom drawer, asking Fulgore if his extra clothes can go in there. Fulgore asks if he's going to be spending the night and if Consomme thinks he'll be staying with him for a while. Consomme tells Fulgore that Canchome had told him he'd be living with Fulgore from now on, which Fulgore questions. Consomme wonders aloud how long from now on will be. The chapter then cuts back to Conchomme's escape from Levi and Hanagebu, and as he's running, he trips on a curb in front of a train track. His body trembles as he tries to get back up, asking himself if this is as far as he can go. We see cars driving by and a train behind them as Levi and Hanagebu comment how it was a relief for them that Canchome is so clumsy. They stand in the middle of the train tracks, watching Canchome as he sits on the tracks himself, panting and out of breath, and they comment on how badly injured he is, and that it's a mystery he's been able to survive this long. Canchome thinks to himself that he was able to get pretty far, and that Levi and Hanagebu won't be able to find Fulgore's house, and if anything happens to him, at least Consomme will get to live happily with Fulgore. We then see in a brief flashback of Canchome with his family. Behind his family members are encroaching, shadowy tendrils, and his mother tells Canchome that he's a big brother now and must protect Consomme at all costs. Hansade hands Canchome a sealed jar, telling him that it contains the spells that those fiends have been ripping away and stuffing into bottles. He tells Canchome that both he and Consomme have to live, no matter what. Presently, Canchome is staring down Levi with a look of determination. Levi, whose face has almost been completely taken over by Gozer's, tells Gozer that Canchome is the blood he thirsts for, before lunging after Canchome once more. Canchome grits his teeth and braces himself for the attack, reminding himself that he had at least succeeded in keeping Consomme safe. As Levi charges after Canchome, Hanagebu notices that beside Canchome is the jar of spells he'd had with him, only it was now empty. Just as Levi is closing in, Canchome thinks to himself that because they took down his family, he is going to take them down. As Canchome leaps out of the way, we can see coming out of his body is a large sheet-like canvas, and on the canvas is the depiction of the landscape behind them. The train conductor sees Levi fuse with Gozer and exclaims in shock that a bear came out of nowhere and crashes directly into her and keeps going, crashing into Hanagebu as well. Levi lays motionless on the ground as Gozer fades away from her body, and Hanagebu coughs up blood as he internally realizes that Canchome had used Paruku to disguise himself as the landscape both front and back, perfectly obscuring himself from the train conductor, and obscuring the train from Levi and Hanagebu. Hanagebu calculates the damage that the train must have done to him and Levi, given how fast the train was going and how much it weighed. He struggles to move, but is able to raise up his briefcase, still in hand. Canchome watches this from where he'd landed from dodging the train. He's surprised to see that Hanagebu is still able to move, but he gets himself up, telling himself that Hanagebu is weak now, and all he needs to do is take away the briefcase and tie up Levi and Hanagebu. However, we see the bottle inside the briefcase that is glowing has an orb with wings inside, and it begins to glow. The part you're dreading.
I know.
Kanchome recognizes the object in the ball just as Hanagebu uses it to cast Saifojio, revealing that one of the bottles in Hanagebu's briefcase has some of Tio's spells. Tio's healing sword materializes, and Kanchome despairingly tells himself there's no way that they have Tio spells, and Hanagebu thrusts Saifojio into Levy's body, exclaiming that victory is theirs. Holy shit.
There is so much to talk about in this chunk of summarying.
Oh yeah, there is so much, but before we get to the latter part, which, you know, lots to talk about that, I do want to go back and say I love how after all this time, Fulgori had kept Conchome's room exactly as it was.
I know, and we didn't even know he had a room.
Yeah!
Like, so this was like a reveal that like he has a room and also that he kept it the same the entire time. And like I'm just now noticing that it doesn't necessarily look like it's just a room. It's like it's part of a bigger room that he has like a baby gate behind or something.
Yeah.
Like, so it's like this could have been part of like Fulgore's bedroom and he had like in that corner or something is Canchome's area. Like, I don't know, but that's just like, that's such a cute detail. And I just love that this room exists so much. Like, that's so cute.
There's so much to say about this room. Like, for everyone else, you know, I'm sure, you know, like, oh yeah, it's nice to see the room and all, and you can move on for that. But for me, it's just, seeing this one little scene is just so sweet because it's literally just the fact that he still kept everything in perfect condition without any real guarantee he would ever see Conchome again is just so wholesome. Like, you can tell, like, he had still thought of him over the years. Like,
yeah, and just getting to see what the room has. It's just like there's like a little table with like a little bucket with like scissors and like pens or pencils or something like that. So it's like for coloring, and then there's a bin of toys, like a dinosaur and a car, and then
oh my
like,
goodness,
I don't even know what's in the back that other bin there, but it's just like, and a little trampoline. Like just the fact that I love what I love so much is that with Consomme now here, it's like Fulgore immediately just stepped right back into like guardian caretaker mode. And we get to see how he was with Canchome that we never really got to see. Like, I mean, we had no idea in the original series that Canchome had his own, like, room like this. Like, we had no idea. Or if we did, I don't remember, but I don't think we did.
I don't think we did either.
Right, yeah, and so it's like, so seeing this was just like, oh my god, like, it was like a double whammy of like, oh my god, Canchome had a room, and also Fulgore kept it intact all these years.
Yeah.
Like, it's so... I could write an essay about this.
No,
like, this just
real.
means so much to me.
No, for real, like I said, it just says so much about how much Fulgore had thought about Conchome to want to keep this room perfectly as it was, even though he's been gone for 13 years. And it's just so wholesome to see Fulgore, you know, step right back into this this guardian role for Consomme. It's just so good. He's so good with kids.
Yeah. Oh, is that a bin of like? Are those lollipops?
I see what you mean.
That's so cute. Oh my god. He like kept it stocked with his favorite candy. I'm gonna cry.
We're all crying.
This is so cute.
Yeah, I love that. I also love the panel showing Consomme opening up the drawer. He's so small.
I know. I love how just like I don't even know, like, matter of fact Consomme is about everything. He's just like, okay, so I'm living here now, and he just like opens the drawer and starts to like pack his things in it. He's just so like I just love that he keeps telling Fulgore like what is going, like, I'm telling you what's going to happen, like, oh, I'm living here now, like, cool. It's like, I don't know, it's so cute how he's just like, I don't know, making all of these like assumptions or statements of what's going to happen or something. I don't know how to phrase it, but I just think it's really cute how he's just like making all of these like, I don't know, claims of what's gonna happen.
No, same. I just love Consomme. He's already a great character on his own. Like,
I love him so much.
Also, like, I want to talk about too those panels where we see little flashbacks of Conchome and his family. Like, you know, like first of all, like, I'm very scared about whatever those shadow things are in the background.
I know.
I don't like them. But second of all, I love how you can see Consomme just asleep with an eye mask on. He has no fucking idea that he's sleeping through the end of the world.
I know. Oh god, it's so cute.
It's just so funny how he has no idea what's happening.
I know. Like, what does he think happened to his family? Like,
He doesn't know.
Like, literally. And then, oh god. And I thought it was so interesting too that like Hansode was the one who handed Canchome like their bottle of spells. Like, how did they just like intercept some of it as it was like being absorbed from them? Like, I'm so curious how they managed to get them from the bad guys or whatever, or prevent them from, I don't even know.
I was gonna ask too, like, how did he get this? Where did he get this from? And again, I'm also wondering, like, how is this less refined than the bottles that are in the briefcase? Like, what even goes on? Like, did they intercept this before this refining process or something?
Right,
I have no idea. It's like, I think this and Cherish's spell bottle were the only ones we've seen as of recording that aren't refined. So
yeah, I believe so. Also, the panel that comes right after the little flashback of Hansode handing Canchome the bottle, like the panel of just Levy's face as Gozer is mostly taking, it looks so cool. Like, it just looks so, I love it. It's such a good panel. It just looks so like epic and intense.
Seriously, I just love this whole, like, I love Levy's abilities here. Like, it's so cool. She is so scary here, and I love her. Like, I love both of them. I love Levy and Hanagebu. I think they're both really cool.
Yeah.
But also, like, I love the strat, like, how Canchome manages to get both Levy and Hanagebu hit by this train.
Oh my god, I know. Like, he just, like, the way he uses Poruku to, like, it's so intricate. And I love this because it shows how, like, how much of a mastermind Canchome actually can be. And, like, so many people, like, underestimated his powers, like, in the original series. But, like, I mean, Kiyomaru clocked it, like, right away, which is why, like, they were so helpful and useful in the battle in the ruins and everything, because he was like Poruku is, like, an absolute asset. Like, here's how we're gonna use it and everything. And it, like, really opened up Canchome's eyes to, like, his potential, because, like, the way, like, using Poruku to turn part of his body into, like, a full-on, like, landscape behind him so that Levy and Hanagebu can't see the train coming behind them, but also that the landscape on the other side of his body is the exact same for the train, so the train can't see Canchome or Levy or Hanagebu. Like, that is such, and all in, like, the split second of, like, casting Poruku. Like, that's so meticulous and so, like, that blew my mind. Like, that was like, he's playing 4D chess against these guys.
Seriously,
like, it's, like, genuine. It was really, really cool to see using Poruku like that.
No, seriously, like, this is, like, such a cool usage of it. Like, I was so hopeful, you know, seeing how both Levy and Boo are knocked down, and I'm like, yes, Canchome, go get the briefcase, and then we see,
Don't say it.
We see Tio's spell bottle. Like,
oh my god.
I was like, no fucking way they have it.
I was like, how dare you? Like, I was, oh my god. Okay, but also, like, can I say a side note? Like, when I saw her spell bottle, so initially, when the way, like, the volume covers were working and everything, with the first cover being Gash and Kiyomaru, just like volume 1 of the full version, I was under the impression that potentially they would then match the full version editions. And so since volume 2 of the full version was Tio and Megumi, I was so convinced that Tio and Megumi would be the characters we saw next in this series, but then it ended up being Fulgore and Canchome. And so I was like, oh, interesting. Okay, so I guess the full version order, like, doesn't really matter here. But then after we saw this spell bottle, like, I was, like, simultaneously in horror at the fact that they have Tio's spells, but also I was so convinced by this point that after Canchome and this whole ordeal, that Tio was gonna be next. Obviously, like, we have yet to see that, but, like, that was what I was thinking. As soon as I saw her spell bottle, I was like, okay, they're not gonna show us her spell bottle and not have her be the next character we see. Like,
no,
because if that was the case, I would have been so sad.
No,
but, I mean,
seriously.
I'm still so sad because they're fucking using Saifogio against, and seeing Canchome's horror too, as He's like, there's no, like, the fact that he recognizes it immediately, and he's just like, there's no way they have Tio's spell.
Devastated.
Like, he's so devastated, and because he was so, he was like, all right, all I gotta do is tie them up, like, I won this battle and everything, and as soon as Hanage-bu casts Saifojio, Canchome, like, he starts to lose the hope that he was getting back, and it's just like, it's so... Like, and, like, Boo, get that out of, like, Hanage-bu, get that out of Levi. Like, don't put that sword, don't use that. That's not fair.
That's
like,
not yours.
That's not yours. That is cheating. I'm so mad about it. It hurt so much seeing him use Saifojio. I was like, what do you mean Tio doesn't have her spells with her?
No, for real, because it's like this reminder, like everyone is affected by whatever happened in the demon world. Like, literally nobody was spared. Like,
yeah.
Again, just the fact that they are able to use her spell here is so unbelievably foul.
I know. I'm so mad about it. I'm calling foul. This is cheating. This is not okay. Red card or whatever sports analogies. Like, this is not okay. Time out. Like, this is not cool.
This is not cool.
I think I said this in episode 0, but just in case I didn't, for context, Tio and Megumi are like my favorites from this series. So like I care so much about Tio as a character and everything, and so just so me seeing that, like, this was a personal attack on me specifically. Like, I just
it was no, literally, as I'm seeing like Tio's ball, because when these chapters come out, I'm not on Discord or anything. I'm literally just making my thread on Twitter. I'm not seeing anyone's posts or reactions. I don't see anybody reacting. But as soon as I saw the bottle, I'm like, oh my god, what does Pinna think about this? What do they think about this?
Oh god!
Like, literally anything involving Tio, I'm immediately thinking about you. Like, oh my god, what's his reaction to this?
I love that so much. No, genuine. Like, I was so mad. Like, the panel of like Canchome starting to tear up when he's like, "That's Tio's spell." Like, that might as well have been a panel of me. I was tearing up. I was like, "You're joking."
That should have been a panel of me. Dude, it hurts seeing Conchome so devastated like that. Again, he's just in such complete disbelief. He's like, it can't be, and then him starting to cry. I'm like, no.
I know. I was so mad. I was like, you can't, the Saifojio is in a bottle. That's not fair.
It's one thing for them to just use a recovery spell in general, but the fact that it had to be Tio's.
I know.
It's
like,
so bad.
That is so cruel.
This is insane. Like you said, like, if Tio would not be the next one showing up or something, I would have been so upset. Like, you cannot just dangle her spell bottle in our faces like this and just not ever mention her again for a while. Like, come on.
Right? Like, this would have been if he was like, Shuraruku, and then he like never saw Umagon or something.
Oh, now you're calling. Now you're calling me out. You try to make me understand your pain. Imagine if this was Umagon's spell. For context to all the listeners, much like how Pinna is the #1 Tio and Megumi stan, I am the #1 Umagon and Sunbeam stan. Like, yep. If we saw that here, you would have, like, I don't know, like, you would have heard something from me. I'm crying the way that you just fucking brought up Shuraruku.
I'm just, making an equivalent comparison.
Yeah, and I understand everything now.
You're like, I feel your pain.
Wow, so this is what Pinna's going through.
Oh my god.
But for now, we don't see Umagon spell bottles here. We see Tio's, so... Let's continue. How can things get worse? Let's find out. So, Canchome begins to cry as Levi recovers, still in disbelief that the enemies have Tio's Saifojio. Levi stands up and commends Hanage-bu for the spell, but comments that her body still feels a bit sluggish and sore, insulting Saifojio as a weak recovery spell.
That made me mad. I was
Same.
like, how dare you? You not only stole it, but also insult it? Like, are you kidding me? I'm sorry to interrupt. Keep going.
No, you're valid for this. You're valid for this. I would say something too if they used Shootaruk and insulted or something. Continuing on. She says that it doesn't seem Canchome has any more tricks up his sleeve and cuts off the braided portion of her hair on one side of her head, and it fully transforms into Gozer, completely separate from her body now. Levi tells Gozer that she'll leave the rest to him, and Hanage-bu, still struggling to move, raises up the briefcase and casts Doruku. Another bottle in the briefcase glows, and Gozer grows a strengthened layer of armor as it tries to crush Canchome in its mouth. Canchome struggles to find the strength to stop Gozer, and his teeth start sinking into Conchome's back. Canchome thinks to himself that this is for the best, and that he knew things would turn out this way. As he continues to struggle to keep Gozer from biting down on his body, he thinks to himself if he dies here, Levi and Hanage-bu will think it's all over, because he had kept Canchome hidden from them all this time, so they have no idea Canchome exists. As he thinks this, we see a flashback panel of Canchome wearing a cloak as he's running away, and underneath the cloak, in his arms, is Canchome, fast asleep wearing an eye mask. Canchome then thinks about how when he spotted Levi and Hanage-bu, he left Canchome at the concert hall and ran out in front of them so that he would be the one they go after. He thinks about how after all that, all he had to do was run far away from Fulgore's house. He thinks about how Canchome will be able to enjoy an incredible life with Fulgore as he imagines Fulgore and Canchome playing with a toy train. As he remembers the sight of his family fending off the enemies as he's being handed Canchome to protect, and as Gozer's jaws close in on Conchome's head and torso, an image of Fulgore flashes in Conchome's mind, and Canchome wails that he doesn't want to die, and also saying he'd give anything to see Fulgore again. He begins to put up more of a fight against Gozer, and tells himself that no matter how scary the enemies are, or how much pain he's in, and even if he's filled with despair, the thing that gets him through it all is the hope of getting to see Fulgore again. As he's saying this, we see new flashback glimpses of the destruction in the demon world, and giant monstrous silhouettes of the attackers as Canchome flees and hides from them, all the while protecting Canchome. As Gozer grows more ferocious and tries harder and harder to fully bite down on Canchome, Canchome starts singing to himself the lyrics to Iron Fulgore, shaking and struggling to keep Gozer from killing him. Gozer continues trying to crush Canchome, who by now is bleeding from so many puncture wounds, and Canchome falls to both knees, and he tries to keep singing the song, but he begins to lose consciousness. But not before Fulgore arrives, yelling out the part of the song that Canchome had left off on, and with his bare hands begins to pry open Gozer's jaw, exclaiming to Canchome that he has no idea how much he missed him. Canchome is in complete shock, and Hanage-bu, acknowledging Fulgore as a human, asks if he's insane, stating that Fulgore is taking on a beast that has been reinforced by Doruku, and that no mere human could possibly have the strength to do that. Fulgore yells out that they will never have the strength to push back he and Canchome. Fulgore then laughs, exclaiming that this hippo, referring to himself, is just too strong for them, and that it's always at its strongest when it's protecting its children. As Fulgore says this, he has finally managed to fully pry open Gozer's jaws, freeing Canchome and saving him from being killed. And with that concludes Chapter 8.
Oh my god.
Yep. So much to talk about with this, like as always, but
Yeah.
this whole scene with Canchome just struggling under Gozer's jaws is so sad, dude. Like, it's just so sad just seeing how accepting he was at first of his fate. Like, he really wanted to put Consome's well-being over his, and he succeeded in managing to both hide him and get him to Fulgore, and he thought that he could make peace with that, but then to see him remember just how badly he wanted to see Fulgore again, and him trying harder to hold his own against Gozer because of that, it's just, oh my god.
I know. I mean, as I was writing the summary, I was like genuinely tearing up because of how emotional I was getting with like the way he was like, well, I guess this is it. And I forgot how like graphic it is, like seeing how like Gozer is literally like chomping into Canchome like several times, and like on his head, his arms, his back. It's like he's piercing into Canchome like so many times as he's doing all of this, and it was like really intense because like you can see the blood coming out of all of the bite like marks and everything, and it's just like, oh my god, like this is so intense. And as that's happening is when Canchome is like, well, like at least at the very end of this, at least once I'm dead, like they will leave because they think that's all that is here. They don't know about Consomme. Like I did my job as his big brother.
Yeah.
And like, but that's just so sad that to see him giving up like that. And then, like you said, like he gets the glimpse of Fulgore, and he's just like, no, like I don't want to die. I want to see Fulgore again. And then that gives him like a little bit more strength, but then even with that, he starts to like lose consciousness, and it's just like, oh my god.
And him singing to himself, like looking at these pages again is making me emotional.
I know, like him singing like Fulgore's song, like Iron Fulgore. It's just so, oh my god.
I'm
like
sad.
It was so intense. It was so intense, and like not to mention all the freaky silhouettes we see in the flashbacks of like the types of monsters that were destroying the demon world. Like this two-headed thing, and like one of his arms is a snake, and it's just, and they are like massive. They are like the size, like they are bigger than these buildings that Canchome is like running by and everything. And like and some of them are flying, and like it's just like
I hate those.
It's really, really scary seeing what exactly is like wreaking havoc in the demon world. Like that's really scary.
Seriously, like, I do want to say, though, even if it was literally just Conchome on his own and running away, like, just because, like, take a good fucking look at these monstrosities here, because, like, what the fuck is that? Like, how it's just picking up that building? Like, I feel like every new shot we see showing the invasion in the demon world just feels worse than the last, because, literally, what the fuck is that?
It's really, really scary. And I mean there's warriors like flying in on flying things, and then like there's other ones like on horses or something, and they're like holding an axe. Like it's just like it's really scary. Like they're up against some really, really bad people. I will say though, even though these are obviously bad guys and we are not rooting for them, I appreciated the fact that Hanage-bu was using the other spell bottles in his briefcase, because like with Waig, he was just like, Zakher. And it's like he was like trying to like rub it in the whole time that he has Gash's spells, and it's like we didn't really get to see any of the other spell. Like even at the end of the battle, we only ever got to see the fire spell, and even then we don't even know what actual spells those were, since they broke it and like made up a bunch of new ones or whatever. But like I appreciated that by this point we have seen, like, we saw Biraitsu, we saw Doruku, we saw Hojo, and we still didn't see the fourth one, but just, like, I just really appreciated that, like, we actually got to see other bottles being used in the briefcase, and not just, like, not, like, Waig just being like, rush shield, like, I don't know.
No, I get what you mean, like, 3 out of 4, that's pretty good. That's pretty good. I'm okay with this one. But like you said, like all Waig ever did was just use Zakarga Rashield. Like, okay, whatever. Like,
yeah. Oh no, yeah. He had Zakarga, I think, not Zakarga.
Oh yeah, Zakarga. Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm
my
a fake
bad.
fan.
They're all
I
the same,
forgot.
whatever.
They're all
really. Yeah, me too.
Same.
Let's wrap it up.
Let's wrap it up.
we got something wrong. Let's close shop. But no, and oh god, and then just like, and then Fulgore coming in to save the day, like,
that was so good,
and the fact that he's strong enough to to rip open Gozer's jaws from like his grip on Canchome, and like, and the whole time Hanage-bu is just like, this guy's a human, how the hell is he doing that? Like, what? It's just like, oh god, and then the throwback, like Fulgore's line to the hippo thing.
I love that.
It was all so good.
No,
a hippo's strongest when protecting its children, and Canchome's his child. It's so good.
Oh my god, like how it ended is all so good. I want to circle back real quickly though, and I just want to say, like, like the whole scene again with like Canchome struggling against Gozer, like it's so incredibly sad. And when we had first learned about the sequel's announcement and how we're all hoping to see some really heartwarming reunions and stuff, but I don't think a lot of us were expecting to see characters like literally at death's door here wishing they could just see their partner one last time. And how things were going for Konjiki here was not what I could have ever imagined would happen for his return. Like, this was not how I was expecting for the whole reunion to work out. And also I want to say too, like, when we first heard from Gash about how Canchome was the first to run away, and then seeing both his and Kiyomaru's expressions, like, it really gave the impression that at first that he was really just trying to save himself and didn't try to put up any fight. Like, that's how it was in Chapter 7. We didn't have any context for, any of this later on. And, while, yes, it's true, he did save himself, we didn't get the full picture of his situation until now, where he was entrusted by his family to keep his baby brother safe, and he took that responsibility very seriously, and even managed to do it in a way where Levi and Hanagebu didn't even know that Consomme existed. And, while it's so nice to see just how much of a good brother Canchome is to Consomme and how much he prioritizes his well-being, it's also, again, just so sad to see how he was just ready to accept being killed if it meant that Consomme would be safe. Like, it's just crazy. The impression the first impression we got of him, being mentioned by Gash and Kiyomaru, like the impression that Gash and Kiyomaru gave of him, and then to find out in this chapter just how much more there was going on for him than we first thought is just so, I don't even know what to say. It's just so, it's crazy.
Yeah, because, like, I feel like it plays on how originally, like, he was very much, like, a coward in the original series, and so it's, like, for them to be like, oh, he was the first to run away, it's like, oh, we know who that is, that's Canchome, because he's a coward and everything, and then everything we're seeing in this chapter, and he is, like, the farthest, like, there's no cowardice, like, there's no, like, he's not a coward, he's literally doing everything he can, he's terrified out of his mind, but he is, like, he was putting up with so much if it means keeping his baby brother safe, and that is so, like, I love getting to see what Canchome, like, grew up to be like, because this is so, like, I don't even know, I don't have words, like, I love getting to see what he grew into, because, like, this makes so much sense for where he was by the end of the original series too, like, because I was kind of like, why did he run away? Like, that doesn't really make sense with, like, how he ends off in the original series. Like, that's kind of like, I was like, did he regress or something? But, like, to see that none of that is the case, and he's very strong and protective still and everything, and he's doing everything he can, and just, but I mean, to see he was very much still a gag character in a lot of the original series, and to see a character who was that type of archetype in this, like, very serious situation of, like, being so bloody, so injured in Gozer's, like, jaws and everything, is so, like, it makes the serious tone, like, double the amount of serious, I feel like, because of how we usually see Canchome as, like, the levity and everything of the situation or whatever. So to see him being serious is like, oh, shit's really, really serious now then. And to see him just so sad and again, bloody, like, there's so much blood, it's so scary.
I'm still looking at the pages, it's just breaking my heart seeing him cry and sing to himself like that, like, like,
I know,
like, oh my god, like, just get him out of this right now. And I'm so glad Fulgore shows up right before the chapter ended, because I could not handle a chapter ending on that, like.
Yeah, no, seriously. And the fact that too, that as he's, like, struggling against Gozer, he's using his muscles so much that his shirt rips off.
Yeah. I love that. Like, Fulgore just barely came back and he's already shirtless again. Like, good for him.
I know, and he is ripped. Like, he's so muscular. It's crazy.
We love to see it.
Seriously, but oh god, this was so, like, it was so the opposite tone I was expecting for their reunion, and, like, we really aren't getting to see them, like, actually, like, speak to each other necessarily, but, like, to just see that, like, they are back together again, and this is how it happened. I'm so emotional about it. Like, it's so good. It's so good.
Seriously. And again, I'm just so not over how the chapter ends with, the callback to, like, Fulgore being the hippo and how it's its strongest when protecting its children. That's such a solid thing to end the chapter on. And to see Canchome saved by him like this, like, oh, it's so good.
I know. To see him overpower Gozer like that and save Canchome, like, I love it so much. Like, this was just so good.
I love this panel too, where you could see Canchome just looking over at Fulgore, and he's just in such disbelief. He's just like, huh?
Yeah.
Huh? Like, he couldn't believe, like, Fulgore was actually there. Like, it's just, it's so like, good.
I know. He was able to hold out just long enough for Fulgore to actually come back and literally save his life. Like, the fact that Fulgore was literally able to save Canchome's life, like, in such a literal sense, like, Canchome was going to be killed if Fulgore did not show up, and the fact that he saved his life, I will never stop talking about. I love this so much. It's funny because, like, I feel like with how many characters there are in this series, I feel like oftentimes I kind of forget how much I care about other characters that aside from the ones I'm usually thinking about a lot, like Tio and Megumi and things like that.
Yeah.
And so it's like when this chapter came out, it hit me all of a sudden, like, how much I, like, forgot I loved Canchome and Fulgore. Like, I love them so much. Like, they are honestly, like, one of my favorites from the series, and it's like I always forget that because, like, I mean, there are just so many characters in the series, but just, like, so to see these chapters and see them shine like this, and then, I mean, what's to come is just so exciting. Like, well-deserved volume 2, like, featured reunion duo pair. Like, it's so exciting to see them next.
Seriously, you brought up a really good point too. Like, it's easy to forget, like, how much you really loved certain characters when, like you said, like, I have, there's other characters I think about, like, more often too, but that's not to say, like, I didn't like Canchome and Fulgore to begin with. I always like them. Like, I think they're a great team. I enjoy reading the original series with them. I like all their moments together. I always like them, but, like, like you said, like, they're not always at, like, the front, like, I guess the front of your mind when you're thinking about characters from the series, and not really, like, the ones you talk about the most often. But like you said, like, seeing them in this chapter and everything involving them, like, it's like I just, like, I just remember too just how much I really love these two. Like, they're such a great team, and I'm so happy to see them together again. It's just, oh my goodness, like, this was such an exciting end to the chapter, and I absolutely couldn't wait to find out how this battle goes on from here, especially considering how Kanchome's spell bottle had been used up, and they don't have their spell book, and so I was already wondering, like, how this was all gonna go down. Like, were one of the spell books that we saw fly away from the mummy room gonna fly in here? Like, they're certainly gonna need it. Like, I needed answers, seriously. But again, this was such a solid chapter, as always. Like,
no, literally, like, I was when Kiyomaru and Zara, like, revive all those books and they fly off, I was kind of just like, okay, so, like, when do we see where they landed? Like,
like,
it's like it could just happen at any moment now, and so any chapter after that point is just like, okay, where's the book? Like, I don't know. And so just like, oh god, I mean, just this was a hard wait for. I mean, I feel like that's the case with every chapter, honestly, but, like, this one was definitely a hard wait because it's like, okay, Fulgore's here, but, like, now what?
Like, they're up against, another pair with, full arsenal of limitless spells, so, and they don't have a spell book or a spell bottle to use, so this puts them...
And they can heal themselves.
With a certain summon spell.
It's so, like, this, so it's like, they're up against, like, limitless power, essentially, and I just...
again, it's great that Kanchome is safe, but how are they going to deal with Levi and Hanagebu? That's the big question.
Yeah.
But, guess we'll have to find that out in the next chapter.
That's true, yeah. I mean, I guess that wraps up this episode, huh?
This was a very eventful episode, if I do say so myself.
Absolutely. Was there anything else you wanted to add, or
No,
should we pack it up?
I think I'm good. I'm ready to pack it up, and I cannot wait to talk about the next chapter. More exciting things in store to discuss. So that'll
Yes.
be fun.
Okay. And with that, I think that's the end of episode 8. So, everyone, thank you so much for listening. We hope you enjoyed it just as much as we did. Feel free to leave any comments, thoughts, theories, all that good stuff, and we might feature it in a future intermission video. But for now, we are headed over to episode 9. So, we'll catch you in the next one.
Yeah, we'll see
Talk
you
to you
guys next
later.
time. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.